So, welcome to the Dealing with Goliath podcast. The mission of Dealing with Goliath is to sharpen the psychological edge in business leaders with skin in the game, who want to be more effective under pressure, uncover hidden value, and increase profitability. With expert guests across the business spectrum, we deliver gems of wisdom, delving into their methods, their thinking and approach to business, life, and problem solving. This is the double espresso shot of insight through our short interview format. We're quick and concise with 5 questions in just 9 minutes. I'm your host, Al McBride. My guest today is Ellen Finkelstein. Ellen guides experts who have knowledge that they want to share with the world so they can make an income with information-based online business while helping others. So they're out there trying to save the world. Excellent stuff. She started her first website all the way back in 1999. It's a good time to start. And has 11 books published with McGraw-Hill and Wiley, as well as having self-published 10 ebooks, and has built an email subscriber list of a whopping 22,000 and a social media audience of over 100,000. Those are crazy numbers there, Ellen. It's great stuff. On a personal note, I have to say I've known Ellen now for quite a number of months, as we're in a mastermind group together, and she always has a wealth of insights and value for everyone. She's always a great contributor to the group and always delivered with humility and humor. So I have to say it is a pleasure to have you on the show today. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Al.
And where are you coming to us from today? Because I always get it wrong. It's not Idaho, it's not Ohio, it's Iowa, right?
Yes, it's Iowa, Southeast Iowa.
Southeast Iowa, out in the fresh air. Excellent stuff. Beautiful to have you on the show. So let's dive in. So who is your ideal client and what's the biggest challenge that they face?
My ideal clients are, I usually say speakers and writers, but they might not think of themselves as speakers and writers. So I say experts. They're people with knowledge that can help others. And their problem is, number one, they don't know how to reach enough people with that knowledge. They want to get it out to the world, but they just don't know how to get it out there. And number two, they don't know how to make an income with that knowledge. So those are their 2 problems.
It's a very good observation, though, that as you say, how you see them or how other people might see them as writers and speakers, but that's not necessarily quite how they self-identify. It's a very, very good point. So what, for that group of experts, what are some of those common mistakes people make when they're trying to solve that issue, that problem?
So many of them have never gotten their knowledge out of their head. And so, it's just still sitting there. So that's a big mistake.
Right.
But if they've written it out, they spend too much time putting their knowledge in a useful format. So very often people who have something they consider precious, the knowledge they've gained over their life experience or however they've gained it, they really want to make something big out of it. And so that ends up taking way too much time. And they spend too much time creating it and not enough time building a business around it. And another mistake they make is that they try to work alone. They don't partner enough. And they just might not know how to partner. They might be in a completely different environment. Maybe they gained this knowledge at work in an office, but now they're trying to go on their own and get it out to the world, and they have no idea who they could partner with or how to do that. And then finally, I would say they don't work on growing their email list enough.
Right.
And so they often, again, they don't know how, they don't promote themselves enough to build that list, and part of that is done with partnering. And then also, when they start building their list, they're often either afraid to email them, they think that it's going to bother them, or they don't know what to say to them, and so they don't maintain the relationship over time, so that by the time they get that knowledge out, people don't even know who they are.
Right. There's so many interesting issues there, because I can personally say I've fallen victim to most of them, spending way too much time building content to be as good as possible. But as you said, and it's because it's your baby, isn't it? It's because you think this is of me. But as you said, breaking it maybe into smaller chunks and getting those rolling. But as you say, it's also this, people fall into that trap. I think I've done it a bit, long time in the past. Hopefully I'm out of it. But it's that, what do we call it? The field of dreams, the approach, the build it and they will come idea
Right.
doesn't really work out like that.
No, unfortunately. I mean, occasionally it does. There are some people who are lucky, but it's not the typical
It's far
experience.
from the typical. Exactly. But as I said, a lot of different layers of issues there. So what is one free, valuable action that wouldn't solve the problem for your ideal client, but will at least point them in the right direction, start them making some progress toward that goal?
So I think the first thing is that whenever you're creating content, I'm a strong believer in outlining it first. And so I think that's the first free step that you can do, is to write a detailed outline. And I think of it like a table of contents. So like you see the book up there, that was a book that I used to write, and it ended up being 1,200 pages. And the table of contents is really long, pages and pages and pages.
That is a
And when
mammoth book, yeah.
it is a mammoth book. And when you write the proposal to the publisher, you have to create a table of contents as part of your proposal. And they want the chapter heads. In this case, it's big enough that it has parts. It had 7 parts, and then it has chapters. But inside each chapter, it has headings and subheadings. And when you write those all out, you organize the whole thing. And after that, the writing of it, or even if you speaking out, you can speak out from an outline as well, depending on how you're getting your knowledge out there. But once you do that, it all flows so much more easily. And then the result is also much more organized. So when I found that people just try to write, at the end, it's so disorganized that they have to go back and spend so much time reorganizing it that it just takes so much longer. So take that time to organize. So I'm going to give you 2 free actions.
Spoil me. Give me 2.
So that's for the content, to just outline it thoroughly first, and then write within that outline. Like you have a heading, you press enter, and you type the content for that heading, and you get to the next heading, you press enter, you write within it, so that it's always there guiding you. For the monetizing of it, creating a business, I would say make partnering an essential part of your business.
Right.
And you just have to find out who else serves your target market, reach out to people. And there are lots of different ways to partner, but I would say, reach out to people and have a meeting with them and say, how could we work together? So I would say that is something that you could do right away.
It's a great approach. I love the first step of the plan and the structure, because it puts a whole grid. And it also, when I do a lot of coaching, people fall into these issues of huge, big problems or huge, big challenges. But when you start to really break it down, as I said, suddenly they're just much more manageable. I know It sounds super simple, but it's putting that plan together. It's putting the outline, and then, as you said, it's far more approachable. So I couldn't agree more. And the relationships are everything. Even more now with all those online stuff. It's probably all the more important again. So that is super stuff. So what is one free valuable free resource that you could direct people to that would help them with that?
So I would like to give people some help with partnering, because I think that is daunting when people are just starting out, and even people who are experienced. It's called 5 Ways to Multiply Your Business with Partnering.
Right.
And originally it was a Facebook Live that I did for an hour, but then I had it transcribed. So it's a document, and it has 5 ways to partner. And the URL is ellenhelps.me/partnering.
Very good. And of course, that'll be in the show notes beneath the YouTube video, and of course in the podcast and on the blog as well. That's outstanding. So can you give us a few insights on what's in there
Sure.
Because you're saying 5 ways. That's a lot, because a lot of people are there's 1 or 2 ways, but awesome.
Let's see if I can do this by heart. So the first way is to swap freebies.
Right.
And what that means is that in order to grow your list, you should have some free offer that helps people with an immediate problem. And when you when you promote that, people go, oh yeah, I have that problem, I'd like that. And it could be something as simple as a checklist or a worksheet or a template. It doesn't have to be something that big. But this thing that I'm offering, the 5 ways to multiply your business with partnering, is a freebie. So it's an example of one. And so you find somebody else who serves the same target market, and I promote that person's freebie, and that person promotes my freebie through email, through our email lists. Usually you could do social media as well, but the thing that's so beautiful about it is that if it's really appropriate for my list, and you should only promote things that are appropriate for your list, then I can give that person 100 new subscribers in in a few days. And if that person does the same to me, we're sharing our list, we're doing that, but we're also offering our list something that is new and different that we think is valuable. So it's a great benefit for our own list. It's free. It's easy to do. You just send out a couple of emails and it's done.
As you said, if there's value there, then there's value going both directions, which is the key thing. Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. So what's one key question I should have asked you that would have added great value that I didn't quite ask you?
So we talked about it, but I would say, how do you grow your list?
Right.
Is a good question that stumps a lot of people when they're starting. And by list, we mean subscribers on an email list. And I want to emphasize that growing a list, even though I talk about online businesses, offline businesses, brick and mortar businesses are discovering email as well. So for example, during the pandemic, restaurants that didn't have an email list, maybe they had a Facebook page or something like that, but they had no way to really connect with everybody, because how many of their visitors, their past diners have, look at their Facebook page. But if they collected emails as people came in, maybe they offered them 10% off their next meal or something like that. Then when they shut down during the pandemic and started switching to delivery and curbside pickup and delivery, they could email everybody that they had and tell them about it. So those were the people who really were able to make that switch and survive because they had that connection. And an online business, it's obvious. You have to have a list. And so, but growing the list can be hard. And so I just want to, so the answer to that I want to give you is to create a great freebie that answers an important need. I actually mentioned this before. Don't make it too long. And then use autoresponders so autoresponders are the emails that you give people after they sign up, that you do that through your email service provider. And these are the most opened emails you'll ever send. And so you use those autoresponders to create a relationship with people. One of the things I say is you need 3 things for an online business. You need an audience. Often that's your list or the list of your partners. And then you need a relationship with that audience. And either you do that with your autoresponders and by just regularly sending out emails and giving people information that's helpful to them. And then the third thing is you need an offer that's relevant to those things,
exactly.
to that specific audience.
I've heard you talk about the relationship before, that it's that emulation, it's the same, it's the echo of know, like, and trust. It's just a different way of creating that familiarity. Right. And as you said, that leads to trust. Yeah.
And I do like to say that it's not just know, like, and trust. That's what everybody says. Mm-hmm. But it also, that people need to know your expertise. They need to see you as an authority, that you know something that they need to know, that you have a solution to their problem. So it's know, like, trust, and I don't know, believe, or
they see you as an authority, as a credible authority.
Yeah. So I want to add more about growing your list. So once you have the freebie, there's more, and then you use autoresponders. You should stay in touch with your list. I say at least weekly, although it depends on your field and your audience. And then do partnerships. We talked about partnering, but do partnering just for growing your list, not necessarily for selling. So you can do a joint webinar with somebody, and giveaways are like my favorite way of growing your list. I've done it twice, and gotten about 900 people in a couple of weeks to my list by organizing a giveaway. So so that question is, how do you grow your list? And those are some answers.
Those are some great answers. And there's more, far more from you, most definitely. So please do check out the links connected with this. As I said, changetheworldmarketing.com/get started. And we also had another one as well, as you said. Just reiterate it again. It'll be in the show notes.
It's a different URL because it's a redirect to make it shorter, but it's ellenhelps.me/partnering. So at changetheworldmarketing.com/get started, you'll get my main free offer, which is 13 steps to create a successful online business, and some great video training as well. But this partnering one will be specifically about partnering.
Outstanding stuff.
Lots of goodies.
Loads of goodies. That's one thing. You have lots of different levels of fantastic free value there to bring people up, to encourage them, to move them along. And I've seen a lot of the quality of your work and of your output. So I'm fully behind it. I have to say it's excellent stuff. So thank you so much for being on the show today, Ellen.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
It's been great having you. Cheers.